The Galactic Council's biggest mistake was underestimating humans. HFY Story. Prologue. A shattered peace. The Galactic Council was a paradox, both the most enduring institution in the galaxy and its most precarious. Forged in the aftermath of the Orion Wars, the Council was meant to bring peace to a galaxy torn apart by centuries of conflict. It stood as a coalition of thousands of species, each sworn to uphold the fragile unity that kept the galaxy from falling into chaos. But this unity was brittle, bound together by treaties and compromises that often masked deep-seated rivalries. At the heart of this tenuous peace were the elder species, the crystalline Lumorans, the reptilian Draeth, and the insectoid Veltrathi. These species had shaped galactic history, carving out vast empires long before most others had even achieved interstellar travel. They wielded immense influence within the Council, and their word often determined the fate of lesser species. Humanity, by contrast, was a newcomer. Emerging from a turbulent history of war and environmental collapse, they had clawed their way into space only a few centuries ago. Their rise was rapid, driven by an unrelenting drive to survive and adapt. Yet, to the elder species, humanity was little more than an amusing curiosity, a species from a Class 10 death world whose survival was considered improbable at best. Humans are reckless, Veltrathi Chancellor Maros had declared during a council session. Ambitious, yes, but hardly a species of consequence. They thrive on conflict, but their fire will burn out as quickly as it was kindled. Yet, the galaxy paid little attention to humanity's quiet expansion on the edges of Federation space. Colonies like Erythra Prime thrived in isolation, their people focused on building futures far from the squabbles of the Council. Yet, the Xendari Dominion, a militant empire that respected only conquest, saw humanity not as a curiosity, but as an opportunity. When the Xendari invaded Erythra Prime, the Council hesitated, as they often did, and in their silence, humanity decided to act alone. Chapter 1. The Fall of Erythra Prime. Erythra Prime was humanity's pride. With its lush valleys, glittering oceans, and sprawling cities, it was a testament to what human ingenuity could achieve. Its capital, Meridian City, was a hub of trade and culture, its towering spires piercing the sky like monuments to hope. That hope was shattered when the Xendari fleet arrived. The Xendari ships were unlike anything humanity had seen before. Vast crystalline constructs that seemed more alive than mechanical. Their jagged hulls shimmered with an iridescent glow, refracting the light of Erythra's twin suns. When the first salvos struck, it was as if the sky itself had caught fire. Orbital defense platforms exploded in bursts of flame and debris, their fragments raining down on the cities below. Governor Selina Voss watched from the Planetary Command Center as the devastation unfolded. "Send the emergency beacon to the Council," she ordered. Her voice was steady, but her hands gripped the edge of the console tightly. The chief communications officer hesitated. "Governor, with respect, the Council hasn't responded to any of our previous warnings about Xendari movements. What makes you think—" "Send it anyway," Voss snapped. "If nothing else, the galaxy will see what they allowed to happen." "Replace the Council with true princes," Doughton commanded. On the surface, chaos erupted as Xendari drop pods descended like meteors. Their crystalline soldiers emerged in perfect formation, towering figures that glinted in the fires of the burning city. Armed with energy lances and protected by translucent shields, they moved with a precision that seemed almost mechanical. The local defense forces fought valiantly but were hopelessly outmatched. Lieutenant Eric Hayes, a former Marine stationed on Erythra, led a small resistance group in the western quadrant of Meridian City. From his vantage point in a crumbling skyscraper, he watched as the Xendari advanced through the streets below. "Hold your fire until they're in range," he instructed his team. One of the younger recruits, barely more than a teenager, glanced at him nervously. "Do you think the Council will send reinforcements?" Hayes didn't answer immediately. He knew the truth. They were on their own. "We'll hold them here," he said finally, "for as long as it takes." But the Xendari were relentless. Within hours, Meridian City fell. The survivors were rounded up and herded into camps, their fates left to the whims of their crystalline captors. The Xendari broadcast their victory across the galaxy, confident that humanity's spirit had been broken, as they couldn't have been more wrong. Chapter 2: Humanity's Resolve. On Earth, the footage of Aethra's fall sparked outrage. In the central halls of the Terran Union, President Naomi Carter addressed her people. Her voice carried the weight of humanity's collective grief, but beneath it burned a fierce resolve. "The Xendari Dominion believes they have defeated us," she began. "They think we will cower, as so many others have. Let me be clear. Humanity does not cower. Humanity fights. And we will show the galaxy what it means to defy those who would destroy us." In secret, humanity had been preparing for this moment. The Terran Navy, though smaller than those of the elder species, had been quietly building a fleet designed not for defense but for survival. Experimental railguns, gravity-based weaponry, and advanced stealth systems had been developed in hidden shipyards on Luna and Mars. At the heart of this fleet was the Resolute Dawn, a massive warship bristling with cutting-edge technology. Commanding it was Admiral Marcus Thorne, a decorated officer whose reputation for unorthodox tactics had earned him both praise and criticism. Thorne addressed his crew from the bridge of the Resolute Dawn. "The Xendari think we're just another species to be conquered. They've made the same mistake every bully in history has made. Let's remind them why humanity thrives under pressure." Across the colonies, humanity mobilized. Factories churned out weapons and ships, volunteers flooded recruitment centers, and scientists worked tirelessly to refine their technologies. For the first time in decades, humanity stood united, not out of ambition, but out of necessity. Alex Barrington was one of the most famous scientists succeeded in winning a patent for an older, aging technology. Chapter 3: Humanity Strikes Back. Humanity's first counteroffensive targeted Sigma Outpost, a Xendari-controlled station critical to their supply chain. The Resolute Dawn led a battle group of 20 ships, each one smaller and faster than the Dominion's crystalline vessels. The Xendari defenders were confident in their superiority. Their fleet formed a tight perimeter around the station, their spiked hulls shimmering ominously. The last thing the console remembered was the devilish expression in the cruiser's eyes. Admiral Thorne studied the tactical display. "They've underestimated us," he muttered. "Deploy the gravity mines." The mines, spherical devices capable of creating localized singularities, wreaked havoc on the Xendari formation. Ships were pulled off course, colliding with one another in chaotic bursts of energy. Human frigates darted through the debris, targeting weakened vessels with precision strikes. The Resolute Dawn faced off against the Xendari flagship, a dreadnought twice its size. Thorne's crew executed a daring maneuver, using the ship's advanced cloaking systems to evade detection before delivering a devastating railgun barrage to the dreadnought's core. By the end of the battle, Sigma Outpost was in ruins, and the Xendari fleet was in retreat. Humanity had achieved its first victory, a victory that echoed across the galaxy. Chapter 4: The Council's Debate. The shockwaves of humanity's counteroffensive reached the Galactic Council almost as quickly as the Xendari retreat. In the Grand Assembly Hall of Viridian Prime, Holographic projections of the battle over Sigma Outpost flickered across the room, accompanied by the sound of furious debate. "They're reckless," roared the Xendari ambassador, his crystalline form glinting with anger. "This so-called Terran Union is a threat to galactic stability. Their defiance must be crushed before it spreads." Ambassador Selina Voss, humanity's representative, stood at the center of the chamber, her expression calm but steely. "We didn't start this war," she said. "The Xendari Dominion attacked our people without provocation. We are defending our lives, our homes, and our future. If the Council chooses to stand by and do nothing, then humanity will act alone." The Council chambers erupted in discord. The Veltrathi delegate, his mandibles clicking in agitation, chimed in. "The Xendari Dominion has long been a destabilizing force. Humanity's resistance may be the spark that ends their unchecked aggression." Others were less sympathetic. The Draeth delegate hissed, "Humanity is a minor power. Their survival is irrelevant compared to the stability of the galaxy." Voss stepped forward, her voice cutting through the noise. "The Council's inaction has emboldened the Xendari. If we fall, others will follow. How many more worlds must burn before you take a stand?" A long silence followed her words. While some species began to reconsider their alliances, others chose to remain neutral, unwilling to risk the wrath of the Dominion. But among the younger oppressed species, humanity's defiance lit a spark of hope. The Vekari, nomadic traders who had long suffered under Xendari blockades, secretly pledged their advanced cloaking technology to humanity's fleet. The Thravar, a reptilian species enslaved by the Dominion for centuries, began a rebellion, inspired by humanity's determination. Chapter 5. The Battle for Soul. The Xendari Dominion, humiliated by their defeat at Sigma Outpost, launched a direct assault on humanity's home system. Their fleet, led by the dreadnought Eclipse of Dominion, emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Sol, its jagged hull casting a menacing shadow over Neptune's rings. Admiral Thorne, aboard the Resolute Dawn, coordinated the defense. The Terran Navy, bolstered by Vakari stealth ships and Thravar fighters, formed a tight formation near Mars, ready to repel the invaders. "This is it," Thorne said, addressing the fleet through the command network. "They've come to crush us, to wipe us out. But we will not fall. Humanity has faced extinction before, and every time we've risen stronger. Today, we show them what that strength means." The battle was cataclysmic. The Xendari opened with a barrage of plasma lances, their beams carving through space like jagged lightning. Human railguns fired back, their hypervelocity slugs punching through crystalline hulls with brutal efficiency. Gravity mines deployed in strategic clusters created deadly singularities that pulled enemy ships into oblivion. The Resolute Dawn faced the Eclipse of Dominion in a brutal duel. The Xendari dreadnought, bristling with weapons, unleashed a torrent of firepower that tested the limits of the Terran flagship's shields. Thorne's crew retaliated with pinpoint strikes, targeting the dreadnought's energy cores. On Earth, civilian militias prepared for a ground invasion. Cities were fortified, and every able-bodied person took up arms. Among them was Lieutenant Arik Hayes, now leading a resistance unit in the ruins of New York. "If they set foot on Earth," he told his squad, "they'll regret it." The turning point came when the Resolute Dawn executed a daring maneuver, using its advanced thrusters to close the distance and deliver a point-blank Nova Cannon strike. The Eclipse of Dominion fractured, its crystalline hull shattering into 1,000 burning fragments that rained down on Neptune. The Xendari fleet, leaderless and in disarray, began to retreat. Humanity had won the battle for Sol, but at a staggering cost. Chapter 6. humanity's triumph. With their flagship destroyed and their forces scattered, the Xendari Dominion began to collapse. Rebellions erupted across their territories as enslaved species seized the opportunity to rise up. The Thrar, emboldened by humanity's support, liberated entire sectors, dismantling Xendari outposts one by one. Humanity, now seen as a symbol of resistance, led the charge. The Terran Navy launched a final campaign to liberate Erythra Prime and the other human colonies still under Xendari control. The battles were fierce, but the combined strength of humanity and its allies proved unstoppable. On Erythra Prime, Admiral Thorne stood on the bridge of the Resolute Dawn as it entered orbit. The once thriving planet was now scarred by war, its cities reduced to rubble. "This is where it started," he said softly. "Let's finish it." They landed. Human Marines, supported by Thravar ground forces, stormed the Xendari strongholds. The fighting was brutal, but the sight of the Terran flag rising over Meridian City reignited hope among the survivors. When the last Xendari commander surrendered, humanity's victory was complete. Spear whipples sounded. Epilogue. A new era. The fall of the Xendari Dominion sent ripples through the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, the oppressed species of the galaxy saw a chance for freedom. The Galactic Council, chastened by its inaction, invited humanity to take a leading role in the new galactic order. President Carter, addressing the Council, delivered a message that would resonate for generations. "Let this be a lesson. Never again will humanity be underestimated. We have shown the galaxy our strength, our resolve, and our unity. Together, we will build a future where no species lives in fear." On Erythra Prime, a monument was erected in the heart of Meridian City. Its inscription read, "They thought we were weak. We proved them wrong." Excerpt. Humanity's rise marked the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history, one where strength was measured not by power alone, but by the unyielding will to stand against impossible odds.